I'd like to call the meeting of the Water Pollution Control Authority and Town Council meeting for Tuesday, August 18th to order at 6:32. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor Angeloni.
Here.
Deputy Mayor McMillan.
Present.
Counselor Diamond.
Here.
Counselor Gold. Counselor Mace.
Counselor who?
Mace.
I can't hear. Mace. Yeah, I'm here.
Counselor Miller.
Here.
Counselor Rose.
Here.
Counselor Whitwer.
Here.
And Counselor Zambrano.
Here.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the July 14th, 2026 WPCA and Town Council meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Discussion? I have a few corrections. So on page 2 of the minutes, under item 8B, pronoun change from he to she. And then the dates for the POCO, it should be Friday instead of Thursday and Sunday instead of Saturday. On page 3, under the heading of tax bills, another pronoun change, he to she. On page 10, under the section of hiring of department heads, the motion that's in the minutes does not make sense. It's not a complete sentence. So I propose the following change. The motion should read, for all department positions, the town manager is to bring one or more candidates to the council for review before offering a job. And then on page 11 of the motion, under 15A, it's the motion going into executive session. It was missing the time, and we went in at 7:57 PM. So those are my corrections. Anyone else?
Shall I approve as amended?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you second that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Okay, next item, community events and presentations. I don't think there is any. Moving on to WPCA agenda. First item is correspondence and citizen statements regarding, in relationship to WPCA. There's no unfinished business listed, no new business listed. So we'll move on to the regular town council meeting. Item 8, reports of committees, boards, and commissions. First one is economic development.
There was no meeting.
Okay. Next one is park and recreation. Their meeting is next week, which would be the 26th. But they just finished their summer camp program on Friday. They had a very successful 8 weeks. And of course, the big thing was the POCO Fest, which was the first full weekend in August. On Friday night, of course, it rained and stormed, and luckily we had a new updated emergency plan, which we had all reviewed and gone over beforehand, and it worked seamlessly. And I'd just like to thank our emergency management director, who is here, who I know put a lot of time into that, and it worked like a charm. We were able to evacuate the grounds very quickly and efficiently, and everyone got home safely, so that was great. It was very, very hot and humid this year, so that was not in our favor, but everyone that came had a good time. Fireworks went off. And of course, I would be remiss if I did not say, we could not put on this festival, not only without the support of our sponsors. This year we had an outstanding array of sponsors that supported the POCO Fest. our volunteers and our departments in town, especially Public Works, Fire, and Police. They all contribute greatly to it, and I would just like to say thank you to everyone for all of their efforts that they put into this. It was a great community event, and I am very happy to be a part of it. So, on to Police Commission.
The Police Commission did not meet in July, however, there was a swearing-in ceremony for a new police officer, Matthew Iannucci. And I know tonight the the Police Commission is meeting to select a sergeant, but I did not go to that meeting.
Okay. Fire Commission.
The Fire Commission did have a meeting, but I have nothing to share.
Okay. Planning and Zoning.
Good evening. The North Branford Planning and Zoning Commission held a meeting on July 16th, 2026. A quorum was not present, therefore minutes from the prior meeting were not able to be reviewed, approved. Also a note, the originally scheduled July 9th meeting was canceled. There is a meeting this week scheduled for the 20th, and I will be there. At their meeting on the 16th, the commission heard presentations about several proposed subdivisions, one at 420 Totoket Road, to create several residential lots, and another one to subdivide a parcel at 165 Notch Hill Road to create 4 residential lots. During the meeting, key with this approval was given for the renovation of the former TD Bank on Foxton Road for a new tenant, Chase Bank. The presenter provided new elevations showing the appearance improvement that had been specifically asked for by the commission. So I did see those drawings, and it's pretty slick. I think we're gonna be very happy with that. Not only the building, but parking lot will be completely repaved, new sidewalks. It's gonna look nice when they're done. It's a nice job on that. Our town planner provided a report, answered several questions about zoning options in response to the Connecticut law about housing and transit-oriented development. For those who are interested, Totoket TV has posted that 2.5-hour meeting online. And not only didn't I attend the meeting, but I sat through that YouTube video at least once fully, and my head is still spinning. So if you want an education on the recent legislation and transit-oriented development, there's a very key section of that YouTube presentation. Very, very informative. I did transcribe it here. So it's available on YouTube now. That's all I have.
Great, thank you. Finance Subcommittee, we met last week. There are a number of items on our agenda tonight in regards to the administrator pay ranges, fire department establishing an education fund, there's contingency appropriations, and we discussed the police extra duty fund, and that will be is covered in the financial report in tonight's meeting. So all of that is on the agenda for tonight. Next item is Public Safety Communications Subcommittee.
Public Safety Communications Subcommittee is going to meet on September 9th. And as I mentioned this before, I hope that the liaisons to the Police Commission, the Fire Commission, the mayor and the deputy mayor can come to that meeting at 5 o'clock because we need to talk to our attorney, and he is available on that night at 5 o'clock.
Okay, all right, thank you. Inland Wetlands.
All right, the inland wetlands, it's the Conservation and Inland Wetlands Watercourses Agency. There was a meeting originally scheduled for June 24th that was canceled. The agency did meet on July 22nd, 2026. I was unable to attend, but a review of their approved minutes online showed 2 things: that the East Shore Health District presented findings on its ongoing study of the Farm River. I don't have the latest on that. And also there was an application that was being considered for a grading plan at 21 Beach Street. And it was a very short meeting, that was it.
Okay, thank you. Blueprint Committee.
Blueprint, we haven't met in quite a while. We've kind of run through really our task, I believe. We did review all the town parcels that were outstanding, and some were sold, some were kept, and so forth. But other than that, I don't think there's much more for us to do, unless the council thinks differently as a group.
Okay. All right. And pension committee, we met last week. Do you want to give a report?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we went through several of the folks that are going to be taking on the pension. We also, Pam Minish, who has been our counselor or our advisor for a number of years, that was her last meeting, and we're bringing on a new gentleman whom we met. His name is evading me right now.
Jeff Mitchell.
Mitchell, thank you, Jeff Mitchell. Very talented and someone has a great deal of experience, so we're welcoming him into the fold here in North Branford, take over from Pam, but we thank her for her time and energies that she's put into our, our town and the pensions that we are currently working on. And that was pretty much the bulk of the meeting.
Okay. Town managers report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. It's very nice to see you. I hope you're finding some time to enjoy the summer a little bit as we roll along here into mid to late August. I have about 15 items from my town manager report that I should be able to go through, and if you have any questions, certainly feel free to ask. I want to start out with, you have some handouts in your packet relative to Public Act 2642, 2676. That's essentially the law that went into effect that restricts the presence of law enforcement within 250 feet of the election site. As you know, we just recently had our early voting here. This also applies to election ballot boxes. That's considered an election site. There was a great deal of confusion with the law. It kind of snuck up on our election registrar's office, literally the Friday to Saturday before early voting started. There was some guidance that was provided on August 3rd. What I can tell you is I want to go through the work that Chief Lovelace and I did that I think was really excellent work, in a very short amount of time. I think the consternation over it was the law wasn't really clear. So when you read it without clarification, theoretically, if we're doing voting here at the town hall, and Chief Lovelace wants to come down and have a meeting with me in my office, he's within 250 feet, and that technically could be violating the election law, right? So there are carve-out and there are exceptions, and I'm not going to go into great detail on all of those, but essentially there's a process by which the registrar moderator can allow for an exemption for officers to come into the area to conduct their normal business that they would do. But it wasn't very clear. So I won't read these for you. You can take a look at them on your own. But really, this was a 3-letter process between the chief and I, all on August 3rd, Monday. So we had to double time it to kind of get things settled. So the chief went through and he had a very thorough letter that basically outlined what the issues were, all right? I worked with Marlena Esposito, and we came up with a process by which we could address those issues and we could meet the spirit of the law and allow our officers to come in and do business in accordance with what they need to do on a daily basis. That process was really simple. I asked the chief to give me a letter indicating all of the possible law enforcement employees in the town that would be coming to the town hall to do business. And that would be given to the moderator, and they would give a blanket okay for them to be coming through and doing their business. So that was one letter, and then the chief followed up with his with the following the process that we did. So we thought it was good to share that with you. I can't tell you there was enough consternation in the state that the Secretary of State on Thursday of that week came out with a communication further clarifying everything. I don't know that if this is going to happen, but I was told there might be, if they have a special session, they may be adjusting some of the language in the law at that special session. So I thought that was notable for you all to know. Number 2, I mentioned in the July Town Manager Report quality data systems. They had made an error in the tax bills going out with the return addresses, some of them with a misprint going to Sterling, Connecticut. It caused extra calls and confusion amongst residents in our office. The other point that I made to the vendor is that when mistakes like this occur, people aren't talking about it on social media relative to the vendor. They're talking about it relative to the town hall and the tax collector's office. And that is not a good look for us. So that whole job, that particular job with them was about $2,300 job. I got them to negotiate to give us a $500 credit on that, the 22% discount for that. It's small money, but it's the principle of the matter, that if we're gonna be working with vendors and they're not gonna do a good job, we're gonna hold them accountable. That's number 2. Number 3, we did complete the Fuel Master upgrade. That was about a $23K project that was paid for through contingency. As you all know, you may be aware of that whole project, but that's basically a better tracking of the fuel usage in an electronic way, which is really good. The one caveat on there that is something that we have to take, the mileage aspect of it. They have to, when they fuel up with their electronic way of doing it, it goes into the cloud and we're able to record how much fuel you're using. They have to manually do the mileage. And so that's something that, Freda and I have talked about wanting to be consistently done. We want to know the mileage in the fuel so we can do better budget projections and understand where our vehicles are going. Number 4, security patch update. I think it's important for you to have a little bit of an idea. Dennis has been working on some really, cybersecurity is very complicated, right? And there's a lot of different layers to cybersecurity. It's not just one element of what you're doing. The analogy that I give is when you have your military defense, you have your Navy, you have your Air Force, you have your ground game, you also have your cybersecurity. There's a lot of layers to the United States military that you have to defend the country. So one of the layers for the cybersecurity that Dennis has worked on is essentially the updating of software of current programs that you have. So for example, we may be running Microsoft Outlook, we may be running Adobe. When those update, what hackers have figured out is they started attacking those programs to try to get in on the update. And so we have software now called Action 1 that basically can take care of that on a nightly basis, that Dennis immediately puts into play and it goes through and it makes sure all of that is scanned and any uploads that are happening are going to be taken care of. Now, I think it's worth pointing out that sometimes a town like North Branford that is more of a smaller outfit, we have scalability issues. This is one of these situations where this actually was helpful for us. Through SCROG, where we got this Action 1, you get 200 endpoints or 200 computers for free. We're dealing with 60 computers or 60 endpoints. So this is free of charge for us, so it's a really good element. Before, Dennis had to do basically all 60 individually. Just so you can think of the time of dealing with 60 different endpoints. Now he can do it at home in one instant and it's free. And so that's a really good level of cybersecurity that he has added. He worked on that for 3 weeks in July and I thought it was worth sharing. Number 5, this is more of a teaser for next month, but Mark and I have been working on cooling and warming centers in town. Having a lot of fun working with Mark, very thorough, very energetic. And so what we're looking at, and these are just some of the topics here, right? We're looking at, we want to start with, when do we activate the cooling and the warming centers? Well, we're exploring when does the governor basically activate the protocols for cooling and warming on a state level, right? So when the governor does that, that's going to be able to key some of the things that we need to be able to do. But we're exploring, what days has it covered, those activations. We're also looking at, because what factors into how many Sundays, because that all factors into any cost that we may have associated with making sure that we can run these cooling and warming centers. And so if we need to be budgeting for that, if we need to be thinking about what the labor implications are for running our cooling and warming centers based on what locations that we may be using, that's all going to factor in. So we're going to have a full presentation on that for you that Mark's going to do in September and October, but that's a teaser for you. Number 6, I sent out a 21 David Lane update to the residents there. and let them know that I'd be just doing a brief update for you at the town manager meeting in my report. So just some of the highlights here. I'm just going to look at the email I sent here. We finally received the deep report. That's now going to allow the fire marshal report to be completed, so that should be done in short order. We fulfilled a FOIA request. Mr. Burke worked on that with some of them residents that put in a FOIA request. There's been a building violation with the hole in the roof, and there's a deadline of October 12th for the resident to respond to that. There have been 2 citations for blight issued, totaling about $4,700 in fines. Fines will continue to accrue. There's been a zoning cease and desist issued in June. It was not appealed within the 30 days, so this prompted the town to provide a complaint and summons for a violation of basically operating a junkyard intermediate processing facility. And that was filed with New Haven Superior Court. And so we gave them even a link to New Haven Superior Court so they can actually file the case through the court. East Shore Health also issued an order of violation for bulky waste debris objects throughout the property, including empty buckets, on July 1st. They have a deadline of August 31st to address those or fines may occur. And essentially, we've had town officials and East Shore Health out to that property several times in the last month. So quite a bit has occurred within a month since we last met with them, and I just wanted to give you a brief update on that. Number 7, P Public Act 25-1, basically the affordable housing law. This is actually attached to action for you to consider tonight under appointments and letter B. Now, there's a couple things with this. So we're going to have to, we're working with SCROG in terms of understanding what the planning and zoning and town council responsibilities are going to be with the Affordable Housing Act. And we're going to eventually have to have a plan. Now, what I can tell you is that our COG plan is not going to be due until June 2029. There are other COGs that are having their plans due in June 2028. So we will have the advantage of seeing some of the submissions of other COGS plans in June 2028, okay? Now, there is going to be a decision that planning and zoning town council are going to have to make in regards to, you know, is the Affordable Housing Act plan that's going to be submitted, is it going to be, you know, a North Branford plan that they are just going to be doing, of course, aligning with and following the requirements, or there's going to be an option of going with a SCROG plan that has been developed regionally, right? So one of the things with that I mentioned at the SCROG meeting is that I put a request in where I said that any of the materials that you are going to be developing, whether it's plan or prep materials, that I would respectfully ask that it's very clear division between what is required by the law and what is a best practice or a recommendation by the SCROG or the state. Because what often happens when you have laws passed in Connecticut and then you use agencies to actually do some of the work of creating plans, whatever they may be, whether it's in education or on the municipal side, a lot of times best practices and recommendations get merged with requirements, and councils and board of educations believe that the recommendations are actually required when they're not. So we want that to be a very clear delineation and understand that. And then listen, sometimes the best practices are great and you want to adopt them, but sometimes they're not and you don't want to deal with those. So I'm setting this up with the appointment where I'm going to be handling certain high-level political things with SCROG and navigating that dynamic, and that's going to be part of my role to interface with planning and zoning, town council, throughout the process the next couple of years. SCROG is also doing a advisory affordable housing technical group where they're asking for town councils to appoint someone that has a lot of sound technical expertise in this area. And so in that regard, I'm recommending that we have our assistant town manager, Rory Burke, who has a lot of technical content-based expertise. And what he'll be able to do is be in that room, listening to what is being discussed, providing his input, but also then reporting back to me and the council, planning and zoning, if we need be, on that matter. So we're gonna, so the paid professionals in terms of helping the planning and zoning and the town council navigate this over the next 2 years. We have 2 distinct roles, and that's what I'm recommending, so I hope that you would consider that for an appointment to that position. So number 8, this is a little bit of a teaser. So in September, October, we're gonna flush it out more, but I've been working with Dave Ambrose, town assessor, on a town assessor monthly report that will be focusing on, of course, reevaluation, trends going from 24 to 29, and what are the monthly trends that we're seeing in terms of, homes being sold and assessing values and going and looking at comparisons and giving you kind of like a month-by-month look at the direction of that area that will help us in a lot of budget projections and so forth. So I think you all know Dave. He loves that sort of work and is very thrilled to be doing it. Part of our job is to continuously educate you on what is happening in this area so that we're not getting it all in one meeting and you're trying to digest a lot, you're gonna know the trends. But the other aspect of this is we wanna, and I still have to figure this out, but we wanna be able to create a more resident-friendly, whether it's annual or biannual report on all the trends that are going on with this, so they understand how their homes are being assessed, what the reval looks like for 2029, all these different elements that we're gonna be giving them. And so that would be something, our job is not only to educate town council, right? It's also to educate the residents to the extent that we can. The better we can get at that over years, I think when you're on the public talking about why taxes are X, Y, and Z, how the budget process is going, you're gonna be able to give them a much better explanation so they understand why they're being assessed at what value. And so that's a teaser. We're gonna give you a lot more details. We're trying to work up a template for the September, October meeting. 9, I'm sure you're all familiar with the Municipal Separate Storm Sewer Systems, MS4 program, which is based on stormwater runoff program done on an annual basis, looking at the quality of the water, environmental concerns, runoff silt due to construction, E. coli, fertilizer in the water, any of those sorts of things. We had our deep audit, and that came back where we met all the standards of that audit. So I wanted to apprise you of that. Number 10, we had some minor vandalism over at Atwater Library Garden. That has been referred to the North Branford Police. It's not really a major financial issue in terms of it clearly was young teens getting into mischief, but it was a morale issue for the staff over at Atwater that care for those vegetables over there and work on that garden. It's been there for quite some time. And I just wanted to let you know that that has been noted, and that's something that the library was very disappointed in, but I thought the town council should know. Number 11, the mayor and I were able to go, we took a field trip over to the Guilford community nonprofit, right there in the town green. It's a nonprofit that works with Guilford and Branford. We met with Liza Jansen Petra, and we're just exploring the possibility of a North Branford nonprofit community foundation that would possibly, raise funds, would be able to go dump back into programming in North Branford. We just had one meeting, but it was a good positive meeting, and we'll keep you apprised on some of the work that we're doing there. And it would be something that if we're going to engage in that, we bring it to the town council for their approval, but we're at the early stages, but I want to let you know. Number 12. Just some transition activities, really minor stuff. I've been going around and meeting with town managers and first selectmen in the area. I met with Matt Huey from Guilford. I've been meeting with Peggy Lyons in Madison, and I'm just networking to get to know the various first selectmen and town managers in the region, introduce myself, looking for commonalities of learning best practices and the work that they're doing in these towns that we can possibly bring to North Branford if it makes sense for our community. In addition to that, transition activities, there's a bunch of things, but one thing of note, I've got myself on the CCM 2 legislative committees. And one committee is Education, Appropriations, Taxes, and Finance. The second committee is Land Use, Transportation, Infrastructure, and Economic Development. So I'll be representing North Branford on those legislative committees. I do have quite a bit of experience doing that on the education side, legislative committees for working with state representatives, those sorts of things. So I'm looking forward to that. But that will help us keep us in gear, make sure North Branford's voice is heard when new laws and different things are coming out. Today, I have the pleasure of going with Carrie Haynes and Rory Burke over to the Shoreline Chamber of Commerce in Branford at the Woodland Center. And did I not write down her name?
Melissa Simone.
Thank you. So Melissa Simone, she, basically this was, yes, I have her here. Melissa Simone. She was one of the recipients of several for Women of Excellence from the Chamber of Commerce, and it was pretty cool. You know, I think they did a nice job. So they had a nice bio read of them, so we got to hear all of their different accomplishments. And then Melissa got up, her whole family was there, her kids were there, which is really nice to see, and she was able to talk about all the work that she has done with BH Care, Umbrella for Domestic Violence, and a host of other things that are just super impressive. We gave her a proclamation signed by the mayor and with all of your names on it. We put some of that stuff out on social media, and it was a really, really nice event. They did a nice job, so we were pleased to be there. And I know Carrie Haynes was in the mayor's stead, so that was very nice of the mayor to extend that invitation to Carrie. And the last item, I got my kid fix. So I got to go over to the Parks and Rec for the Pages Under the Pavilion program. It's pretty cool. Like, you know, they pick a book and kids sign up for it. And, you know, I came out as the guest reader and we went through the book, we discussed it, and then they get to keep the book and go home. And so the book, that was pretty cool. I enjoy doing that. I used to get to do that. My superintendent liked a lot. So what Carrie had told me is that, you know, she's going to let me pick the book next time. So so that was a lot of fun, and that's my town manager report.
Great. Okay. So next item is Permanent Project Building Committee.
I have a couple of questions.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
I'm looking over this North Branford Police Department, and I'm kind of confused. Public Act 2642 and 2676 only applies to police officers in the police department. What about fire department, emergency crews, or whatever? Is there some kind of restriction that they can't go within 250 feet of an election site? I mean, I find that hard to believe that, you know, I can understand the police have to be summoned, but what about emergency crews? How do we justify that? How do we find out about it?
Well, so I can double check, and that's my understanding, it's law enforcement only. So, you know, per the politicians at the state level's comments, this was originally, you know, designed to be federal law enforcement, specifically ICE, keeping ICE away from polling stations. You know, there's some legal ease that kind of required them to put in state and local into that factor, which people really weren't anticipating. That caused confusion. I do not believe that applies. So, for example, we all know fire has arrest powers, so to speak, but I haven't read anything in the law that says anything about fire or emergency services of that being applicable to it. It wasn't in the Secretary of State, memo, so I don't think it applies.
All right, so let me ask you this here, and I could be wrong, all right? So this is not a voting site, all right, but they have a ballot box.
Well, it is for early voting.
Early
All
voting.
the early voting is here.
All right, so that means a police officer can't park in the driveway or can't do anything around within 250 feet. And did we already find out where 250 feet is from the door to the street?
So,
Driving on the road, you're within 200 feet. If you're driving on the road, you're in 200 feet.
Right.
Right,
So-
still not 250 feet.
Yes.
Thank
So-
you, Craig, for
So I would have to-
There's a.
You got it on Mill Road
It's
now.
why, so it's, listen, if you're, each community is different, right? And you can understand if you're a president of a police union and your members are very concerned that, when the Secretary of State says, that's not the intent, we're not looking to, prohibit people from doing their normal course of business. If you're an officer, you're nervous that you're gonna get jammed up in something politically, and all of a sudden you're gonna be made an example of, that's a reasonable concern to have. And so that's where a lot of the consternation came from. I think that, what we were able to do in short order here in North Branford is basically get a blanket moderator okay for exceptions for everyone coming and going and doing their work. So right now, this was, it was the early voting, and so it was less complicated than the November elections are going to be, right? There's much more higher stake, much more turnout coming. And so let's hope that it gets tightened up a little bit and is very clear, and that we'll have all the processes in place.
Well, one further thing, if you could clarify for me, if you're gonna look into this here.
Yep.
If I'm a police officer and I'm not on duty, but I'm a resident here and I have to come in to pay taxes or to do something, whatever, does that affect me if I'm not on duty or if I'm just a regular citizen? Is there a distinction between the two, and does it violate the Public Act of 4276? That's what I'm concerned about.
There is a distinction between the two. You can't legally take someone's rights away to vote in or come pay their taxes just because they happen to be their profession in law enforcement. So that would be one where there doesn't have to be a moderator exception. If an off-duty police officer is coming in to vote, they don't have to get an exception. They can just come in and do their civic duty.
Okay, I just want to look up for police
Great
officers, so
question.
we don't get jammed up.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. All right,
Thank you, Rose.
yep. So you can go on to permanent project.
Meeting was canceled last night.
So there's nothing between July and now?
Not that we have to report on it, report at the last one.
Okay,
Thank you. Sorry
All
about
right.
that.
okay, no problem. Okay, next item is citizen statements, petitions, and correspondence. Are there any citizen statements? Okay, we do have some correspondence that was received via email. Those will be entered into the record. There is one from Bill Savastano in regards to tax freeze for seniors.
Excuse me, Rose.
Yep,
I was going to link to number 14, because that's under new business to address this. That, I thought it would have been improper for me to talk about it now, because this is under.
well, the citizen
under
statements.
Commissions and reports.
No, we're on citizen statements,
Number
10.
14 is also citizen statement.
Right, there's two, so I'm doing them under the first one because on written ones, we do not read them, they just get entered into the record.
Well, I was asked to read this on behalf of.
I know what it says because I got the email
I
too.
want to read it out loud.
Well, we have the policy of on any written ones that we receive, they just get entered in because some of them are quite lengthy and then you're picking and choosing which ones you read and which ones you don't read.
This one
So
isn't quite lengthy, it's very short.
I know that, but the policy is just so it's standard, so that anyone that is written, that we receive by email, it gets entered into the record, it becomes part of the record, and then anyone can read them because they get published.
So when do I address this? Because this is making a request for you to make an appointment, so when do I address that?
You have the ability to make a citizen statement, so if you want to
I
put
can't hear
something. You have the ability to make a citizen statement, so if you'd like to say it in your own words, I think that's viable.
If
Maybe
that's okay
summarize.
with the mayor, certainly, do I have to give it to a microphone, or can I just give it from the chair?
You can do it from the chair when I'm done indicating the ones that we have, that we're gonna enter into record on there.
Hold on to this one here.
So Bill Savastano is in regards to tax freeze for seniors. There is one from Kathy Rajunas in regards to the dog park. And then there are several of them from a residence who does not want her name spoken. It will be in the record. and it was in regards to the petition for the charter revision. So those three will be entered into the record and be part of the minutes, and anyone can read them. So are there any other citizen statements?
Can I say it now? And thank you for the opportunity. Jeff, thank you very much for the opportunity. When I was on the town council, when Jeff was the mayor, Jeff had appointed me to look out for a program possible to give some tax relief to the senior citizens of North Branford and Northford. And I was working on that when I did run for re-election in the past couple of years. Nothing has been done about it. Once I got elected to the town council again, some of the senior citizens have asked me if I would volunteer to work again to try and see if there's an applicable problem to a solution to help them with some kind of taxes relief. And I thought about it, and the first thing I said is, I can't do anything unless the mayor agrees to reappoint me back to try and do something, okay? And I would certainly never trample on your authority, whether or not I could do something to help them out or not. But when I think about it, with the cost of living and everything that's going up, maybe they do need some help, and maybe there is something we can do. And I told them I would really be willing to work with the senior citizens, a few of them that have asked me to do this here, as long as Mayor Rosie Angeloni appointed me to go ahead and do this here and try and work with Dave Ambrose to see if there's something we could do to help them out that would benefit them, but also not hurt, the taxpayers of North Branford and Northwood. I'm willing to volunteer to do that.
Okay, so as we heard tonight from the town manager, he will be working with Dave Ambrose on a program. So I just want to get that started first, have them get that started first. I am totally, and I'm not opposed to having a subcommittee work with senior and getting information together to see if there's something we can do so that can be presented before budget time
So
on
the
there.
town manager and Dave Ambrose?
Yeah, it would probably be more Dave, but the town manager would probably be involved in it a little bit in the beginning on there, but that would be fine. I don't have, does anyone else have an objection
No, I think
about
it's
it?
good, yeah. But
So,
Thank you.
dig in and see what you can do to find out. Anything we can do to help, great.
Yeah.
yep, that's fine.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Any other citizen statements? Okay, on to resignations and appointments. The first one is appointment of Nicole Riccitelli to Planning and Zoning to replace Chris Hean, a term to expire May 31st, 2029.
So moved.
Second?
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. The next one is appointment of Rory Burke, Assistant Town Manager, to the Housing Growth Technical Advisory Committee with SCROG.
Make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Counselor Miller. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries. Okay. Next item, unfinished business, discussion and action, North Branford Dog Park. And Mr. Burke, the Assistant Town Manager, will be presenting on this.
Good evening. Just a very brief update tonight. At the last meeting, when it was on the agenda, former council member Bruce Abelson came to the meeting and expressed interest in helping and leading the efforts to kind of revive North Branford Unleashed, which is the organization that's responsible for the maintenance of the dog park. And so I had been reaching out to Marilyn Mochulewski, who was the sole remaining member, to try to facilitate a knowledge transfer between the two of them. I ran into Bruce at POCO, and he told me he had done that on his own. And so I will be meeting with Bruce this Friday. We're going to be discussing next steps on how to try to recruit some new members and do some fundraising and get that organization back up and running.
Yeah, and he texted me and said that he picked up all of the material from Maryland, so he has all of that now, so that's great. So thank you, Bruce, for coming forward and taking on the task of North Branford Unleashed. So,
Good job, Bruce.
okay, thank you. On to new business discussion and action. First item is North Branford Fire Department Education Fund. And Deputy Fire Chief Bob Colangelo is, well, that's not on our agenda. Our agenda says Mr. Colangelo.
Good evening, Deputy Chief John McFarland. Tonight you have a proposal for a education fund. I apologize, I was just able to actually read the document recently. So just to give you guys kind of some background, what I was envisioning when I brought this idea to the other chiefs in the Fire Commission was a fund not only for education, but for like equipment and other tools and technology stuff that would be strictly revenue-based off classes that myself and the training chief were going to teach. And, you know, it would be, again, kind of relieve the taxpayers a little bit if we need something. Just for an example, Lucas machine. You guys, I think we did an example on a Lucas machine a couple months for you. Does CPR, so it could free up paramedics for other stuff. As you know, recently we just got a 4th ALS ambulance, so we're going to need a 4th Lucas eventually. Those are about $20,000 to $22,000. So this fund, what I was envisioning with this fund is, you know, instead of going to the taxpayers and say, hey, guess what? We need another $22,000 plus. Oh, by the way, we have a couple older ones. We need another. So, you know, could you give us $50,000 so we can get a couple new Lucases? This fund would kind of help with that. You know, so not strictly. Just reading it tonight, I know it says education fund. I would like to tweak it a little bit, or have you guys tweak it. So it does say education and equipment fund. So training props, if we have to buy stuff for the training tower. We recently, myself and Deputy Chief Hart made a couple props down there for doing live burns through training classes and stuff like that, simulating pulling down ceilings, you know, that kind of stuff. So, so that was kind of what I was envisioning with this. The rest of the stuff looks great. Obviously, we would come to you first and say, hey, we need, you know, we have X amount of money in the fund, and would really like to buy a, you know, a new Lucas. So we take $22,000 of that money and buy it out of that versus, you know, going to the taxpayers for it.
Anthony, I know that you had presented some of this the other night. Could you add to that, add some more of the elements of what you had communicated?
Right, so basically the goal would be to have a separate fund on our books, similar to police extra duty, if you used it as an analogy, that when courses are run, the tuition that they're going to charge outside entities, whether it's other departments in other towns, would go into this fund, and then the expenses for that project, for the course instructors, materials, would come out of the fund. And as Chief McFarland mentioned, the goal is at the end of the day to have surplus cash in there that you could then use to buy equipment versus having to use tax dollars to do. That's basically it in a nutshell.
Have you been to one of these programs before?
So I kind of de facto started it already, and just running a class for an outside agency, made about $10,000, a couple other refreshers. So what I do is all training for any member of the fire department. I also offered it to the police chief. Any training, you know, medical training, fire training would be free to any town, you know, town individuals, town members. So just charging like outside. So I invite guys from, you know, New Haven Fire, Hampton Fire, anybody that wants to join in on the training and charge them a fee to come to the class. So just for example, so far, I have given the town about $14,200 since I started this in March.
Oh, thank you.
I think it's an innovative way to get revenue in here, and I applaud you for it, so thank you.
So,
Yeah.
and, you know, if it gets approved as it goes, you know, and that's just obviously on a part-time basis, you know, want to put some more time into it and possibly make.
And how long do you think it'll take before you actually see some success with it? Or you just already seen a
So I mean, to me, I think $14,200 since March
Been
is
one
pretty,
success, yeah.
is pretty good success so far.
So where is that money now if this fund isn't established yet?
It's in the safe in finance,
Yeah,
It's in a safe?
in finance,
yeah,
It's actual cash?
cash and checks.
it's cash in checks, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, because guys will come in and they'll take a refresher.
it's great.
Yeah, they'll take a refresher and say, here you go, I'll Venmo you or I'll pay you
I think
cash
this is
or
a
whatever.
no-brainer. I think
Well-
if we have the facilities to do this, do we have the insurance?
Well,
Do we have any problems there with?
my
insurance?
first question is, did the town attorney review this document, this program?
It needs to be looked at, obviously, all
They
things like
also
that.
wanted to change a couple of words.
To the equipment.
Yeah, so I think before we
Oh, yeah.
actually take a vote on it,
It has to be tightened up, but the concept is there.
Yeah.
And it's a good concept and proof of concept that's making sense money-wise. But we have to kind of tighten up, you know, any type of coverage with, you know, when it comes to, you know, insurance. I mean, we can bring that to our town attorney and just, you know, tighten the screws and get everything done right way and then rename it as stipulated and come up with the boundaries on. But I applaud you for putting this together and thank you for doing it.
So
I
can we do
think
this
it's a
by
great
next-
idea.
Next month's meeting?
You know,
yeah, if they,
We can get it done by next month's meeting. We'll tighten it up and bring it back for your consideration and have all your questions answered, and then we'll have the motion adjusted with, you know, equipment in addition to education.
So do we need a motion to postpone
So
to September meeting? I'm sorry.
I make a motion.
My goal also too is to take all expenses out
I
of
don't
this.
think we need a motion.
For
Just put a
example,
note, new-
if I can't teach the class, I send another instructor, whatever, you know, money.
I
we-
could be wrong.
If it's not a North Branford class, if it's a North Branford class, then, you know, that comes out of our training account.
I think it's a great idea, but there's some concerns that have been raised about liabilities and other issues, so, but if
Yeah.
we can get this here taken care of by September,
Well, why don't we keep this, we don't have to put a motion together, we can table and put it in unfinished business and bring it into next meeting. I think that's probably the best.
yeah,
course of
the
action.
town manager knows.
Fine.
to next-
Yep.
I mean, do we need a motion to
You don't,
table?
I don't think you have to table it, you just have to just.
take no
move on.
action.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so no action taken, we'll stay underneath old business with the knowledge that we'd like to see this come back next meeting, dot the i's, cross the t's, and then move on it quicker. And particularly if there's checks, we don't want those checks to truncate, because try to get another check from somebody isn't always easy.
So I have a couple of questions.
Done a lot of work.
As
Yeah.
it's
They've
written.
really taken
I've seen
things
it.
up
Oh,
to
sounds
another level.
great.
And it's basically a satellite training facility.
Yeah.
In the site for, you know, fire, EMS, you know, and everything
Okay.
else.
Yeah, it's a certified, like, American Heart Association training center. North
That's-
Branford Fire Department is now.
Awesome. So go work with Dr. Nichols to have, you know, the right connection between our town attorney, Chris, and of course Brian, and have them look at it. And then if you want, I'd be happy, Rose and I, and whomever else on the council can come back and, you know, just in case there's something that we didn't think about when it comes to, you know, liabilities or, you know, any boundaries that need to be in place. And just make sure we dot the i's and cross the t's, and we can move forward next week, or no, sorry, next month.
I think Councilor Rose
Yeah,
has some.
I have a question. So reading it as it's written, where does it say who can take money out of this?
Towards the very end.
So is it
I believe it says we have to.
council approval to
Yeah.
take it out?
Yeah, so like, if we wanted to spend something, we'd have to come.
Number 9 out.
Number 9, that was one we
Yeah.
wanted
Before
to
you
shore
guys.
up a little.
Which is, yeah.
Yeah.
We changed it to shall. That was the count, that was the comment at finance, so that they are shall now in there.
Okay.
Correct.
If accepted by the
Shall be
board,
made by
a
the
request
board.
shall be made by the board.
To the council, okay. Got it. All right.
Well, I have one question.
Yes, sir.
Who are the checks made out to?
Town of North Branford.
Town of North Branford?
Yep.
That's good.
Got
Okay,
it.
thank you
All
very
right.
much for all the work you put
Thank
into
you very
this.
much.
Thank you.
That's good.
Okay, next item is Emergency Management Performance Grant. Mr. Amatrudo.
I have no checks to cash.
Okay.
Don't come.
Sure.
I got nothing, I'm sorry. Good evening, and thank you. Here before you for just a couple of quick things. Previously, we had requested and received authorization for the assistant town manager to be this signatory for the emergency management performance grants. With Scott Nickel here, I think it's appropriate that we change that, have him sign off on the grants, the reimbursement requests, et cetera. So that's the first piece of it. The second piece, the local emergency operations plan is, base plan is about 95% done. That has to be signed by both of us before it gets submitted to the state. So that is the second piece of that request. If there are questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. We're trying to make it sound more important.
So what you're asking is only the town manager will be able to sign something?
That is, it's typically the CEO and the emergency management director are the two signers. We had Rory in that because he was.
Right, I know that, but my question is what happens if one time the town manager goes away for a month and we can't get a signature for him, you don't have a backup?
This is for adoption of formal plans, not for emergency items. Yeah.
And if he was extended leave, we'd chain of command and have Rory go back into an interim spot.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
That's a good question.
thank you. So there is a suggested motion on page 45.
Okay, that the town council authorize the town manager to approve the submission of the fiscal year 2025 emergency management performance grant submission, reporting and reimbursement forms in the amount of $15,415, which will result in a grant award of $7,707. Further, that the town manager also be authorized to approve the 2026 Town of North Branford Local Emergency Operations Plan.
A second.
Motion was made by Councilor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Discussion?
One question. Familiar with FY fiscal year. FFY I'm not familiar with, so clue me in on what that is.
Federal.
So it's federal fiscal year ending 9/30? Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next item, performance evaluation and continuous improvement.
Yeah, so if you notice with some of these memos, you have a disposition for consideration up at the top to make it easier for you, where it says action requested or action not requested, and it's highlighted. So I think sometimes that can be helpful when you're reading through something that has a lot of paragraphs. But in this particular item, I'm not requesting like formal action by the town council in terms of governance. But I am proposing a general process by which the town manager goals for the 26-27 year will eventually be approved by the town council. And so I have in the premise here, I basically am describing a process by which Rory and I have been meeting with various department heads on their performance evaluations. For next year, we're going to be tightening up the timelines on all of this, and we're almost through right now. It's I'd rather be done before July in terms of performance evaluations, but it's a different type of transition. Those meetings have gone really well. One of the things that we've been doing is we've been working on 3 goals for each department head that are aligned with the standards of the evaluation instrument they're using. Also having the conversations regarding their self-evaluation that they've also done. And, the department heads developing, 3 goals each are part of the process of driving the town manager to start to develop goals to be submitted to the town council for consideration. However, another aspect of that is for the town council to also be, thinking about and recommending some areas that they would like to see in terms of goals. So it's a process by which the town manager is kind of the nexus in between the department heads and the council. And so what I gave you is a sampling on page, the first page and the second page of the general topics of goals that have already been worked on with department heads. It's not fully inclusive, but it's many of them. And you can read those kind of like at your leisure. I want to highlight just 3 of them very quickly for you. The first one here is conduct a thorough assessment of the finance department, including but not limited to staffing, model, succession planning, processes, and communicative effectiveness to ensure a high level of confidence in the services provided. As you can see, we've already started on that in July with changing a little bit about our monthly finance memo that Mr. Esposito reports on, and we'll continue to work on that throughout the entire year. The other highlighted item is develop and implement a creative recruitment and retention plan for high demand certified positions. Example being the town planner. In the next agenda item, Mr. Burke is going to be providing you with some information on our town planner search and some of the creative ways we're going to try to kind of move forward and continue to get that work done. And I'll remind you, and this will be a theme throughout the year, creative recruitment and retention plans are not necessarily predicated just solely on, fiscal compensation. They're predicated on, especially for employees, on what are the conditions of the working environment going to be. We've already started a little bit of that with exploring piloting the town office hours with the Fridays ending at 2:30, but extending hours on Monday and Tuesday to 5:30. We're getting feedback from the community on that, and I'll be reporting that out in September. If you go to the other page, the other one, I know this has been something that the council has brought up, but develop and execute an RFEI and RP for 1599 Foxen Road, working with the Planning and Zoning, the Economic Development Commission, and the Town Council to implement advantageous zoning and advance possibly mixed-use development of the property. This is just economic development and something that we're going to have to constantly work on an annual basis, and so you're going to see goals and objectives like this throughout. Now, the proposal request which is really just consensus of the town council, is that I'm respectfully requesting that you take a look at the goals that have been outlined here, and that if it pleases you, you email Mayor Angeloni by August 28th with any suggested topics for inclusion in the town manager's goals. What I'll then do is I'll look at all of that information. I'll work with the mayor. I'll develop a draft of goals for the 26-27 year, and then look to present a draft for that at the September town council meeting. And we can go from there and see how people feel about that process. But the more that the department heads have ownership to the work that the town manager is doing, and also be aligned with the town council and what they're invested in, that's the partnership that we're looking for, and that's going to over time yield great results for not only the department heads but the department employees that work here, where they feel that they're really aligned with and moving forward the goals of the town. And it also is going to really position the town council to be well informed on all the progress on a monthly basis and in different ways. You're going to see once these goals are developed, I will be pointing out to you when we bring department heads up here to present, and when I'm doing my town manager point, I will be linking them on a regular monthly basis to the progress of the approved town manager goals. And so the idea here is that when we get back in June to do my performance evaluation, it shouldn't be a surprise, because we've been discussing the progress of it for 10 months or so. And so it's something that I would like for you to consider. If you have other ideas on process, I'm certainly open to that.
A question?
Yep.
So a question, whenever you set goals for your employees or for an organization, you could set easy goals. Make sure the light switches are put in the correct location before you leave a room. Something simple. Everyone's going to be successful at that. So is there a mix, do you envision, like with stretch goals, or do you want to have reasonable, challenging goals, but nothing overarching? What is your strategy? Do you have an idea about that?
I mean, it's a mix of all of them. I wanna hit the mark on some, right?
Correct,
But,
correct.
no, of course. So if you really look at this, you know, when you're trying to measure these goals that are written here, the topics, you're looking at measuring them through qualitative and quantitative data. And so, you know, some of them are completing certain things that are challenging to be able to complete. You know, some of them, you know, I mean, if you look at, you know, trying to develop a really good plan for 1599 Foxen Road, you know, that may not be completed by June, and we may have some progress in the area. You may see a bunch of things that we've done, but we may not be very successful at that point in time. But you're right, like, you know, if we're not gonna set high standards of what we want to achieve in this town, you know, we're not pushing ourselves as a council, as a town manager, as department heads. So that's kind of my default mode, is to put some really challenging goals out there.
Yeah, no, I applaud that, and I think the list is very robust, and I think you're exactly right. If you go in with high expectations, you typically get higher outcomes. I mean, that's a basic of negotiation, labor relations negotiation. You go in with high expectations. You don't go in saying, well, I'm going to do the minimum. So I applaud this effort. I think it's very, very good.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Okay, so I would just like the council members, this is on page 46 and 47 in our packet, to review, you know, the list of goals that the town manager has listed on there. If you have any other one, you know, pick out, you know, obviously, those are not going to be all, there's quite a list there, and that will never, well, I shouldn't say never, but that is a very lofty aspiration if all of those got accomplished in the first year. So if everyone could just review those and email me by the end of the month, let's just say before Labor Day, what your top 5 are on there, and if you have any other ones that are not listed on here,
Okay.
please do.
Great.
On here. Okay.
By when?
By Labor Day, which is September 7th, before Labor Day. Next item is Human Resource Monthly Report.
Good evening. So we have spoken in the past about the town planner position and the difficulty with recruitment for that position. And so since we met in July, I've kind of tracked all of the postings for related positions. In North Branford, our town planner also serves as our enforcement officer for inland wetlands, light, and planning and zoning. So you'll see a mix of planning positions and enforcement positions, but just to kind of illustrate what the market looks like currently. In addition to these, I actually got an email over the weekend. Mansfield now is also looking. And so in total, about 10% of, there's 169 municipalities. We have 17 positions here now with Mansfield. And some are out of state, but they are advertising in the state of Connecticut. And so the market is broader than just Connecticut. And you can also see the salary ranges posted as well to see where the town is relative to the other municipalities. So we continue to recruit. There's been a posting up since July. The first posting back in February, March, we had 10 applicants. We have had 1 applicant since the position was posted in July. So provide all this information as context to say we're trying to be creative in how we approach this. I had a meeting with some representatives at SCROG. They have on-call zoning, planning, and enforcement contracts in place. They're intended to be kind of short-term project-based, but other municipalities do engage with them on a permanent basis. And so When the opportunities arise, we're going to be engaging with these on-call contractors to see whether it's a feasible solution for North Branford in some capacity. And so we will keep you informed about how that goes. But again, I just wanted to demonstrate to you, we've talked about how difficult the recruitment is, but I think you can see with the quantity of positions that are available currently, that this is not an easy position to fill.
If I just may add, from a budgetary standpoint, as our current town planner is part-time, from what was budgeted for a full-time town planner, that's where that money would come from if we were going to be farming out some of this work to kind of pilot it and see how it goes.
And then additionally, the town manager asked me to just kind of keep the council up to date with, obviously you're providing authorization for recruitments going forward, but you don't necessarily know the outcome of those recruitments. So just providing a little context there. We have a new equipment mechanic in the Public Works Department who is scheduled to start tentatively August 24th. So that's good. And then I also included the integrated police operations manager. That recruitment was done almost entirely by the police department, but again, because you had provided authorization just to follow up with you, that that process is ongoing. And then additionally, just some other HR actions that are ongoing to give you an idea of what the day-to-day, the volume, and variety of work looks like.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? This is a great report. Just to,
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
thank you. Okay, next is Public Works recruitment authorization for Highway 1. You're on the agenda, Mr. Marola. It says Mr. Marola right here.
So we're going month to month now. Every month we have I don't have my glasses.
Do you want mine?
I'm wing it now. So we're out. We're hiring another highway person. One guy left us a couple weeks ago, and we're just replacing one of our highway guys. This is very unusual. What's going on every month that we're losing and nobody wants to work and stay put anymore.
Could you do me a favor? Let me know who's plowing Gale Drive so my mailbox will be okay.
As long as it's
My
installed,
mailbox
it
is
should be
always off the
okay.
pole.
Yeah, so.
Whoever it is today, it could be someone else by the time the first snow falls.
And in Freddie's defense, he's just coming back from a long vacation, and Danny and I have been going back and forth, and now Danny's on vacation. But you do have a memo here on this request to follow the council's allowing us to appoint and hire. But just to give you an idea, what we put in this memo here, if you're taking a look at it, it just say action requested. So if you look at the employee that we're looking to replace, you got a justification to hire there, right? Which we all know you need the highway one. It's easy justification. And Dan did a nice job of kind of laying out the approximate timeline to hire. So you can take a look at, approval to hire, 3.5 weeks, create the job posting, internal posting, external posting 2 weeks, interviews 1 week, pre-employment notice to employer 4 weeks. So to get this whole thing done from when the guy resigned, it's about 3 months, right? And so, we just want to keep you apprised of the work we're doing and how we're going about doing it. And we do it as timely as possible. And then you have a suggested motion down there for you to consider. And this will be like a template, right? So you're going to see this. If we have like 5 employees, you'll see this in a format that makes sense for you, so you can see each employee and what we're doing, and it will become kind of like what department heads do.
I like it. I'll make that suggested motion to authorize the town manager and/or the designee to conduct and complete the hiring process for the position of Highway 1.
Second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Diamond.
I have a question. What is the hourly rate? What's the starting rate? Doesn't say it on here.
Because they haven't found the person yet to
I can't
negotiate
hear you.
with. They have not found the person to negotiate that with. So this is just getting it set up. so they conduct and complete the, start the hiring process.
But that's an excellent point. You know, there's going to be a range, and so we can add in this form the general range of what we're going to be
I
paying
think that would be a
someone.
good
So
idea, yeah.
that's great feedback. We can add that in. It's great.
Yeah, it's up to Jeff.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super. Thank you.
Up to me. All right, I say yes.
Did you get it in there? What is it?
I don't know what it is. You guys don't know?
It's
30,
32 change.
27, and goes to 3287 after 1 year.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
there you go.
contractual.
Okay, great. So-
3027 up to
Right.
3227.
Yeah, so that'll be part of the form.
Yeah, I'll amend as stipulated.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next item is administrator salary ranges. Mr. Burke.
Hello. So you may recall, last year, a similar item was on the agenda for the town council. The administrators, as part of their benefits negotiations in 2024, had requested that the salary ranges be updated periodically. Originally, it was biennial, and the council last year recommended that it be annual. And so I'm back this year with updated ranges. Some of the feedback we got at the finance subcommittee was just that this not necessarily come before the full council, but that the range updates be provided to the finance subcommittee for review. The ranges are based on the preceding full calendar year CPI, and it's the CPI U Northeast is the specific regional CPI that's being used. And so there is a suggested motion before you just to memorialize that these be presented to the finance subcommittee going forward.
All right, the annual, suggested motion is the annual updates, the administrative salaries ranges be provided to the finance subcommittee based on the preceding full calendar year CPI, and in parentheses, CPI-U Northeast increase.
Second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Councilor Diamond. Questions?
Yeah, discussion.
Yep.
So why, the finance subcommittee has zero power. Zero. Last time I was on the council, I actually got rid of it because it made no sense.
I remember that.
It makes no sense. They have zero power. We're the financial board of the town. So why do you want to go show them something that the rest of us don't see?
It was the request of the finance subcommittee.
See, that's probably why I got rid of it the last time.
No, so Al.
So I'm not gonna support this because, again, I think that there's no need for a finance, you know what happens at the finance subcommittee? They bring stuff in that they wanna talk about that they don't wanna see on camera.
No.
Okay, and that's why I got rid of it the last time.
No, there's a
So,
previous
I'm
motion.
done with this.
No, there's a previous motion made by the council last year when you were not on the council.
Okay.
That says,
I hadn't been here for 7 or 8 years.
right, so that
But
motion,
again, I still am not in favor of the finance subcommittee. This is the financial board of the town, that's what we get elected to be. So why there's a financial subcommittee makes no sense to me.
okay, but
Other than departments in town, town managers, whatever, want to have a discussion, and then it can come to the council floor, oh, we did this in finance, just vote for it.
no, that's not what this is,
So
Al.
you're gonna hear this every time that comes up.
Well, the purpose of this is, technically, we don't have to vote on this because of the motion that was made last year and passed by the council that says that this would be updated every year using the CPI. So they don't have to bring this forward to the council at all. It just gets done. This came before the council so that we could
So
see
why
what
would
these.
why would we update salaries every year?
We're
The
not,
council did last year, but why would that need to be updated every year? Salaries aren't gonna change more than,
because
2-3% every
what
year.
happened was this salary schedule was not updated in probably 15 years. So as the union contracts were negotiated and their pay increased, this was not adjusted. So the compression factor became very close together. So the administrators and the council, and this all happened when you weren't on the council, so I just want to give you some background to it. There was a study done to update the salaries of the administrators, and that was done a few years ago, and that came before us, and that's where all of this started. So this is the salary range, the min and the max. And it doesn't mean that that's the salaries that they get. It's just, it's a guide for us when we have to post positions, when they're giving raises, merit reviews, that type of thing on there. So
Again, but getting back to the beginning, he was gonna show this to the finance subcommittee, but not the full council.
we asked to have it come to the full council. The finance subcommittee asked to have it come to the full council last week. That's why it's in our packet.
So that's now, but the motion that was just made was to just have it in the future go to the finance subcommittee, or am I totally wrong on this?
I don't think it said that.
Is that what you just said, Rory?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, that's.
the motion, the way.
It would be brought to us, we'd bring it then to the council.
He's right, it did say that.
Right, so they would bring it to the finance, and finance brings whatever we discuss in finance, we know we can't make any motions
Have
or.
zero power.
or- Right,
Right, so I
And it-
think Al brings up a good point. But it's maybe not for tonight, but we should, as a council, have a discussion about a committee like this, the finance subcommittee. What is the purpose of it? Because if we are the financial board, why do we have a subcommittee to it? You know, we're supposed to have the discussion here. I think that's a valid point. And we should put it on an agenda for a discussion.
But then you can just vote
I
against
mean,
the
years
motion
ago,
until it's
the
done
council
the right
agreed with
way,
me
like
when I
Al
brought
said.
this up. That's like, the 9 of us are the financial board of the town, so there's no reason for a financial subcommittee. But again, not for tonight. Maybe we want to talk about it in
Something to consider.
in the future.
Well, are you for it or against it, Al? I just don't know where you're sitting.
he's against the finance subcommittee.
Okay.
That was pretty clear.
He did mention twice that he was against it.
Say a waiver.
He did mention twice
I'm
that.
gonna go with the gentleman, my colleague's experience in this area and support him in
If I
this.
make a point, between councils and Board of Educations, I've seen it done a lot of different ways. And part of why sometimes you have a finance subcommittee is because the finance subcommittee is going to vet and make sure that what gets brought to the council for discussion is going to be a good conversation, and the council is going to be in a very good position.
Well, that's why it was
To
established.
be able to make good decisions.
Because-
And if the finance subcommittee isn't liking or wants more information or doesn't want to have something come to the council at that time because more work has to be done by the town manager and the assistant manager and the director of finance, then the administration goes back to the drawing board and then they work on it again. You can eliminate this finance subcommittee if you want, and the same steps are going to be in place, because then we're going to bring financial, items to you. You can have that discussion here, then you can kick it another month to the next meeting. And so what you're gonna do is, it may be what you want, and that's fine, we can do it either way. It won't be as efficient to get the business of the town done. And so that's why a lot of times you have the finance subcommittee, not to have necessarily conversations outside of the public view, because everything you're gonna be doing anyways is gonna become discussed and vetted with the council for approval or not approval. So that's the thinking behind that in my experience over the last decade. But of course, we will work at the pleasure of the council. However you want to do it, we'll do the financial work irregardless.
That's exactly why the finance subcommittee was reconvened, because the council didn't want to use this venue, the meeting, to listen when someone comes in to present something that we have to make a decision on, and you have 3 presentations on the same thing from different companies in one night, they didn't want it at a council level. And so it went to the finance subcommittee to vet it and then bring back to the council.
Well, based on what the town manager just said, I would think vetting it to make sure it's complete and ready for the council would be a town manager's responsibility. Nothing should come to us unless all the Ts are crossed, the Is are dotted, because if it's not complete, any department shouldn't be presenting here unless it's complete. We shouldn't have anything here that we go through and then we say, oh, I don't have that ready, but let's just make a motion in contingent, in contingency that something further is going to be done, because we've had that over the years too, and that's a waste of time for us. So in my opinion, nothing should come forward to us unless the town manager vetted it and made sure it was complete.
And here's a perfect example. Tonight, something brought forward from the finance subcommittee, and I said to Rose Angeloni in the parking lot, has the town attorney reviewed it yet? Oh, I'm gonna ask that question tonight. Why wasn't that vetted at the finance subcommittee? Because we wasted our time tonight on the presentation from the fire department. Because it hadn't gone to the town attorney yet. So is the finance committee doing their job?
So I'll accept responsibility for that, Al. I didn't vet it as much at the finance subcommittee as I could have with all the other things that we've done.
No, the finance subcommittee should be doing that.
Right, well, it was discussed at the finance subcommittee. It
And
did not go, it did.
their question should have been, has this been reviewed by the
Well, I
town
think it should have
attorney?
been my question, right? So I could have had that vetted by the
Because
town
I'm a
attorney
poor
prior
dumb
to.
farmer, and that's the first thing I
Yeah,
thought of
well-
when I read it.
Well, my understanding, I didn't assess the fund in the same way, in the same questions that you had. I think they're fine questions, and we can go back and do that. What I can tell you is, no town manager or assistant town manager is going to perfectly vet every single item that comes to a town council and have every T crossed and I dotted. It's an impossibility. Now, we'll do very thorough, excellent work to put you in a great position to govern, and we'll look for your feedback. The reason why we have 9 members on the town council is because you all have different expertise and different history with the institution and different thought processes, which is really good. So we're gonna try our best to bring those things to you, get your feedback at times, move them down the agenda to the next month or month 2. The other aspect is, you know, one of the approaches I can do is when I'm trying to figure out how to be as thoroughly prepared to put you in a great position, we can have more individual conversations with all of you while I'm doing my work. Now, I've talked to a couple different town council members. I talked to, obviously, the mayor all of the time. You know, I've spoken to Al on a couple of issues, and I really appreciate that. If the expectation is going to be that things are going to be, you know, kind of like 100% buttoned up every single time, I'm going to be guessing what all of you want, right? What is Jeff thinking about this? What could Bob be thinking about this? What I'm going to do is, instead of just taking a flyer, is I'm going to be calling Bob and say, Bob, I have these 7 items coming on here. I want to ask your feedback on this, 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 and this to make sure that I'm hitting the mark of what you're looking for, right? So this is the process that we want to have. We want to have efficient, really good meetings that you guys are put in a great position to govern. It can be done in subcommittees. It can be done in individual conversations. I'll accept responsibility if one particular agenda item doesn't go the way it should go, right? And we'll go back to the drawing board. And so that's some of the thoughts I have on that.
I think we're getting way off our agenda tonight, so let's get back to the agenda.
I'll call for the question. Question's been called.
What was the question?
It says the
Exactly.
annual updates to administrator salary ranges be provided to the finance subcommittee based on the preceding full calendar year's CPI, which is the CPI-U Northeast increase. That's the motion that's on the floor. So,
Are you calling it?
yeah. Take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Abstain? Motion carries. Okay.
Got it.
Next item, discussion on surplus town vehicles.
So I'll go first on that if you want, because
Sure,
I asked for this to be on the agenda.
Sure.
So, and again, I'm going back to being a dinosaur. But I've got a lot of years on the town council and I, you know, have a pretty good understanding of the way the charter works and what's in there. But maybe something has changed since I have been on. But I have some questions on these surplus cars. And some of them are gonna be for the attorney, and some are gonna be for you, Scott, and I don't expect answers tonight. I have questions on it. So the way I read the ordinance on the fire commission is that it answers to the town manager and the town council. It's different than the police commission. And I was part of those votes back in, you know, a long time ago. So anyway, so my first question is, you know, what changed in that? Can the fire department or the fire commission, can they add cars or apparatus without town council approval? So if they can, and they don't need our approval, who gets the car that didn't already have one? And how is the car marked? Is it marked as a fire apparatus car? That leads to the question of, what are the plates on the car? Are they North Branford plates? Are they apparatus plates? Are they everyday car plates? Who can ride in the car? When can the car be used? And is the mileage tracked? With the cars being given to them, you know, were they budgeted? You know, there's a cost. And I don't believe they were called out and budgeted for, so how's that working? What's the benefit to the person receiving the car? You know, there's all kinds of rules on that in the state of Connecticut, and you know, I think probably fire service is different than some of the other, but you know, if it's still under the town council's realm, these are questions that I would like answered. Are cars being given out to people who don't live in town? And the only other thing is, who works on these cars? And are they licensed mechanic shops and have insurance? And anyone else can add any questions that they have.
Okay, so there's one letter in the memo in our packet from the police chief. This is in regards to a Ford F-150, but there was also another memo from the police chief a couple weeks ago about another vehicle. So there's actually two vehicles from the police station, the police department, that they are removing from their inventory and they're coming to the town manager. Because that's the process.
Okay, so, and I think, I agree with that process, that's where it's gone to. I'm questioning where it goes from there. And I honestly think, until these questions are answered, from my point of view, we should tap the brakes on giving any cars out.
Right, so So my question would be, where are these two vehicles right now? This F-150 and what was the first one, an Expedition? An Expedition.
F-150 is at the police department.
That's still at the police department? Okay. And the other one is an Expedition, so that one was a couple weeks ago. So is that one at the police department yet, at Public Works?
The Expedition?
Yes,
The Expedition's with the fire department.
okay. So I think this is what your questions are, is that what you're referring to, Al?
Right.
On those, that vehicle?
See, I don't believe that and so the attorneys are gonna have to look at it. I don't believe that the fire department can spend money that we haven't approved. In other words, the way I look at it, nobody in town gets a car or a fire truck or a snow fighter without the town council's approval. So I don't know how we can just add cars to a department without the town council approval. Just because we have a car, so we have 10 cars, the police get finished with 3. If we don't get rid of 3, we now have 13 cars. But we've only budgeted for 10 cars.
And they all have a cost associated with it.
They all have a cost, we all know that.
Right.
You buy tires, gasoline. So, you know, a lot of the questions are, you know, when do these individuals, like, how do they get to use these cars? And I think, I may be wrong, but I think we will land on next month that this is gonna be a town council discussion on how we let these cars go and who's using them and how they're gonna use them. But I may be wrong.
The other thing would be is, what's the benefit to the taxpayer
Agreed.
for this
You know what?
additional cost?
Good question. Like, how did we survive all these years and not have this many cars out there, but now we need them?
Mayor, I just want to clarify one thing. We came tonight, the police department follow our procedural policies.
Yep, there's no question on that.
I just want to make it clear to the public, just in case, we did not give any cars.
No, no. The chief did as he has done as it has been done in the past, when a vehicle from the police department is given up, a memo from the police chief goes to the town manager indicating the vehicle, VIN number, everything, and it's coming over.
And I
That's
want
it.
to clarify something. I'm not saying anybody's done anything wrong. I'm saying that I believe that there's procedures that we've lost that I think are important. So that's all.
Town manager's office, very glad to work on this. I think it's valid things to bring up in terms of process and policy and how we deal with assets between departments. Cars are significant assets in different ways, and there's a lot of, it's complicated with the insurance and maintenance. So all of the questions that are brought up are something we'll work on, and we'll be able to circle back to the September meeting. So I appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So if the F-150 is at the police station, then the Expedition should be back on town. If it's not on town property, it should be back on town property. I don't know where it is right now, but if you can just find that out, wherever it is, it should either be at Public Works, it should probably go to Public Works.
Okay.
On
We can do
there.
that.
So, this way they're both on town property until we get this resolved on here. Okay, so that'll go under unfinished business for next month. Okay, next item is approval of tax refunds.
This is a gentleman who received a 100% disability exemption, and it crossed in the mail. So he paid the bill, and then the bill was totally eliminated, resulting in the overpayment.
Okay. So on page 67 is the motion. I believe.
You want to go? You
I have the
there?
motion.
Yeah, go
Yep.
ahead, go.
Motion?
Yeah.
Yep.
At the regular meeting of the North Branford Town Council held on the 16th of April, 2024, it was voted to authorize the town manager and our finance director to abate or refund property taxes amounting to under 2,500. In this meeting, it was voted that the town council will abate or refund property taxes amounting 2,500 or above.
Right, I think that's just the memo.
That was the action taken in 2024.
Right, so that was justifying
Right.
the approval of the above motion. So if you want to just state the name and the amount of the, I mean, because it's over 2,500, so we have to approve this, is my take on this.
Correct.
Okay.
So just use it, make it your own motion. So I'll do it. So for a motion as stipulated off of comments by Counselor Diamond, we will approve the refund of $3,517.70 to Mr. Richard Kiss.
Second.
Motion was made by Deputy Mayor McMillan, seconded by Counselor Diamond. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Next is contingency appropriation.
You may recall there was some temporary labor that was hired for the finance department at the end of 24-25 that rolled into 25-26 to get us caught up on the bank reconciliations. Obviously, it wasn't budgeted, so this is the amount at contingency to cover that cost.
Does this cost include salary and all taxes contribution?
He was a contractor.
Oh, it was a
It was
1099?
Yeah. It was a firm we hired.
Okay. Okay. Someone like to state the motion?
Resolved that the town manager is hereby authorized to appropriate from reserve for contingency account 1,000, et cetera.
In the amount of, you want
In the amount of 36,100.
is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. So I take it this is the last, is this
The
it?
last, I believe so, yes.
Last for last fiscal year, so the remaining amount goes back into general fund?
Correct.
Okay,
Back to the fund balance.
okay. All right. Appropriation transfers.
This is our, the majority of the overages are covered on this go-around. There might be a few that spill into the September meeting, but we tried to capture all the adjustments that we needed between the various accounts. The various department heads had submitted transfer requests, and they're all captured here for your action.
Resolved that the North Branford Town Council hereby approves the following appropriation transfers as recommended by the town manager and the treasurer or finance director on August 18th, 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Counselor Diamond, seconded by Deputy Mayor McMillan. Discussion? So I just have a few questions in going through this. So the first one is under the general fund. It's the very first one, facility maintenance from the Consolidated Cost Center. Is this the facility maintenance that we appropriate every year some money that's a non-lapsing account?
No.
Or what is this?
This goes back to the whole, trying to get the 4100 situation resolved as to what's in the 4100 department versus what's in the individual department. So as you can see, at the bottom of that same section, like heating fuel, and the other purchase services, those were over expended. It's just a matter of, we're trying to get a better handle on what's in 4100 versus what's in the individual departments. And in this case, there was money left in there because it was not spent out of 4100. It was spent by the departments, and it's part of that learning curve, trying to figure out that whole consolidated cost center that we're working on.
So that facility maintenance,
It's
is
different
that?
than the one you're talking about.
I know, but is that, like, library has $10,000, Park and Rec has $5,000, Town
Right.
Hall has some, is that what that facility maintenance, you took all the different,
I believe he
That-
captured them all in one shot, yeah. I guess.
and then, is this the account that Franny's also, the Public Works is in charge of?
No.
When he does maintenance?
No, that's a
No, that's the 4,300, that's the other thing.
all
we're-
city consolidated, but that's for like small.
Yeah.
But, so who maintains this? Who-
4,100's under Michael Fumiati.
Okay. I guess I'm still not clear on how all of this is working, and I'm not so sure if our department heads know either.
I just have a question myself, I just have a question myself, because I look at some of the accounts and I see the police account, and I see a lot of parentheses of money figures, and then on the bottom, I see them back there again, it's like, and it just gets kind of confusing, like, I don't, I see 16,000,
So they're taking it, one account had 16,000 left, and they're allocating it to some other accounts that needed money.
but I see the DC pension and the DB pension, and
Is-
one has one, and then one has the other. So
Right,
is it
because-
money taken out and moved to the other?
It's budgeted as one number in pension, so.
That was one of my
To
questions.
properly, it should be
Oh.
segregated out, the DB versus the DC. For the budget purposes, it was just given as one number. So now, this separates it out to what the actual cost of the DB people
So-
is.
And I
Do we
can
budget as one?
imagine that the chief must bang his head when he sees these,
Yeah.
So
this happening.
I have a question.
Sure.
So all the numbers on the bottom underneath the parentheses add up to exactly what that is, the transfer, right?
Right, the negatives are people, the accounts that have surplus, that are giving money, and the positives are the ones that need the money.
All right, so it comes out to 38,495 is what I got for the first general fund.
Well, it should wash, it washes up to zero.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, each block would wash.
Each,
Yeah, I got
exactly,
it.
zeros out, correct,
I was just checking the numbers and they show, they come out.
correct.
Okay, all right, so that answered my question on the $1 million. So originally in the budget in Munis,
Mhm.
you just had everything as one number, even if the police
Correct.
department broke it out. You
Correct.
just had it as one number, and now you're dividing it out between the
Correct.
two.
That's correct.
Why don't we block it into one number versus dividing it for DC?
The DB number is such a large number, it makes sense to have it shown separately.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But we don't originally show it separately, right? We show it
I think originally it was budgeted as one number.
as one number, but for the go forward, we'll budget separately?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
That makes sense.
All right. Let me see once here.
Larger.
Okay, it's page 74 of our packet. It's between departments. It's the one from the town manager account, from town manager to assessor for $8,800. But it says legal services.
It just costs outside of retainer.
Yeah, but why would that be assessor?
Yeah, no, it should be town attorney.
Okay,
4139 is town attorney.
so it's the right
Just the
account
label,
number,
yeah.
it's the wrong
Label.
wrong label, okay. And then, just down from that, under it says insurance, it's 32,055.
Right.
So it says insurance, and then it has full-time. What's full-time in insurance?
Let's see, what do you
Because I looked in the budget book,
Yeah,
there's
it's-
nothing,
That's just that's just the insurance category, 55,200. It's not full-time. There's no full-time in that department.
well, that's, I couldn't find any, that's
Yeah.
why I was wondering. So was it a specific policy, or was it all the policies combined?
It's all the policies combined, resulting in the 32,000 savings.
Okay. Okay, those are all of my questions in regards to the transfers.
I have a question about the office chairs.
On which,
We're looking at page 74.
okay,
I mean,
was it $5?
no, I mean, office chairs, $250.
No, that's fees.
That's a-
Furniture, office chairs was $5.
I don't know how you're seeing that.
And it's
I
dropped
don't
right
know,
below
I'm
it.
missing something,
It's
right? Yeah, I know.
Furniture,
It's
office.
up or down?
It's up,
Oh,
so
okay.
this is all part of that.
Got it.
And then
Yeah, okay.
that's that one.
Sounds good.
Okay. And so is there a final figure as to the pension for the police department if they had money left over specifically in
The
pension
DV pension, yeah. I don't have an answer for it. I'll get an answer for
to,
it.
to be paid into the pension fund?
Right. That'll be a probably transfer on your next meeting.
Okay,
Wrap that up.
okay. Okay, any other questions?
Is this the way Munis sets everything up? Or is just,
We used to do it horizontally,
right,
but then when we went to the digital format, it's more vertically. We can go back to it horizontally if that
no,
makes it
I
easy for
just,
you.
it just gets a little.
Yeah, horizontally, it was, from to, and it just got confusing when, in the digital format where you're scrolling up and down and the page goes landscape versus portrait, it makes it difficult, but we could explore going back
I
to
mean,
doing.
seeing this, the department heads must be like, they're taking money away from me and then they're putting money back. I just,
Yeah.
it's kind of confusing. for
These,
me. I
most of
don't know
these
how you do it.
originate from the departments. These are all the departments sending paperwork over saying, hey, I have overage here, I need money here, moving it back and forth. There's very little that are done without them initiating it.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Right.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, financial report for July 31st.
Report, as the manager had mentioned, we're changing up things a little bit, going to more highlights of what's going on. Starting at the top, again, trying to close fiscal '26 more quickly than we have in the past couple of years. They're working on the June 2026 bank rec, which is going to expedite the process and assist us in closing on time. We've also kicked out to each department a listing of their open POs to trigger them to contact the vendors, make sure all the invoices are in and processed. The Board of Ed, you may recall, throughout this past year, started having their own bank accounts for controlled disbursements and payroll. And the benefit to that is, as you may recall, the Board of Ed isn't on Munis for their payroll. So they would be sending over checks that we would require to do manual spreadsheets to identify outstanding checks, checks that cleared, and it was very cumbersome and time consuming. And now with them having their own bank accounts, basically they send to Debbie a list of the outstanding checks and the disbursements as they happen, and it expedites that process and really is gonna make life a little bit easier over there and again, help with the bank rec process. The receipt ledgers, we're trying to, one of the issues that we're encountering is that we have a history of lumping several things together and making one deposit. And when it goes to the bank, it ends up scattered on the bank statements because some of them are EFT, some of them are debit cards, some of them are credit cards, and they're all shown differently versus if you think a deposit in your own account, you put a deposit in, you see one number and everything matches. That's not the way it's working out. We're trying to resolve that. As mentioned later, trying to work with quality data to try to track that a little better. We're scanning things into Munis now too, so that when you go to a deposit, you need to get into it to see what the backup is. Copies of the checks will be scanned in as well, to be able to facilitate, reconciling things better. Credit card, park and rec, and we're doing that separately. Again, that kind of expedites the process and eliminates an extra couple steps. So Debbie's got that working in place now. Again, it's a large learning curve Debbie's gone through. We were 2 years ago, and where she's gotten to now is really remarkable. She really has done a great job of getting things in order and, streamlining the process. We hope to have the solar information to you guys by September meeting. Michael's got those bills. We just got to sit down and put them into the thing. P cards. P cards are a big process, in the world today. You hear about P cards and certain politicians that have P cards and what's happened, things like that. And a couple of things to increase your comfort level is when we started this out, purchase cards.
Purchase cards.
Town purchase cards. When we started out 10, 12 years ago, there were 3 cards in town. The council only wanted 3 people to have them, myself, Mr. Marola, and the purchasing department. And what that lended to was if Vince needed my card, he would take my card and make a transaction. Or Rose needed my card, Tom needed a card. So at the end, when you're processing the cards, I got to call Rose to get her backup. I got to call Vince to get his backup. So what we've done is we've taken those 3 cards and made them 18 now. So now Vince would have his own card, Rose has her own card, tracks things. It's more internal controls, more positive in that regard. We've also added steps as layers of review. The purchasing agent gets them first, reviews them, then they go into workflow. And workflow means that the town manager looks at them, finance looks at them, department looks at them. Again, trying to increase the comfort level. When you hear P cards, everybody's hair kind of on the back, stands up a little bit. Let's see, quality data I mentioned. We're trying to work with them to expedite that process. It's one of the downfalls of having a separate tax collection system versus our prior world. We have to import and export things back and forth, so we're trying to resolve that, get that more timely. Munis time and attendance and advanced scheduling. You remember we picked a couple new modules with Munis in the past year. One is going favorably. I believe that's the time and attendance. Right now, our police officers are doing their timesheets on manual Excel sheets, handwriting things. If they change, it's crossed out, it's arrows. It's kind of a complicated situation. So what we're hoping is that this time and attendance will be able to get them into a different world, whether they do things on their phone, whether they punch a time clock, whatever they need to do, but it's going to computerize their timekeeping. Conversely, the advanced scheduling module that we bought, which was designed to address things like extra duty and those kind of issues, isn't performing. And again, I've only been involved in this from the sidelines. I know Terry's been involved. I think Craig's been involved. There's some things that were said from the beginning that it can do for us that now we're finding that it cannot do for us. So there's some back and forth on that. Will it be able to work? Will it be able to satisfy all the things that they told us it would do? We'll see. The audit's in progress. One of the nice things about Munis is our auditors have access to our Munis as well as the Board of Ed Munis, so they can sit in their office and pull invoices, pull journal entries. Where before they would come in with a list of 20 items. Here, go find these for us. Go into the drawer, look through the bills, pick them out, make copies. So now they have that ability online from wherever they are in the world to get into the information. It's expediting their work, making life easier. And again, it's a much betterment to the situation. Extra duty. Extra duty was talked about as far as the ability. Right now we have one pay code for extra duty. And as you know, there's a couple of unique things that we have going on. We have the defined benefit officers have one impact on extra duty, where the defined contribution officers have a different impact on extra duty. Conversely, we have situations where we do things for private contractors and we do things for town functions. We handle the admin charges separately on those. So in talking with Terry, we think we have a way to create extra codes to be able to, from the beginning, define if it's a DB officer or a DC officer, and if it's a town event versus a contractor, how to handle it differently to eliminate some of those back-feeding journal entries and moving money back and forth. Again, trying to simplify things there. Tax collections in July. That's something really worth noting on those papers. If you look at last year, for the 24 grand list, you'll see that $11.6 million was processed through lockbox and about $3 million in the office. That flipped 180 degrees this year. And there's a couple of good reasons why it did. The people were, I think with the PO box being sent to Boston for your tax bills, people were reluctant in sending money to Boston. Thought it was kind of a scam or something. So we had a very amount of increased foot traffic this year in the tax office. And I will tell you, the amount of work that they processed, just those two ladies in there did a phenomenal job. If one of them was out sick, it would have been a totally different situation. But you see it was 3 million and 11 million this year, and exact opposite of last year. So what we would do in the past is if they had 10 people in at once, they would take the payments, stamp them, put them in a pile. Next day, the courier would come, they'd go to the post office, take the money out of the PO box, the checks, come here, get the day's work from the day before, and then bring it to New Britain to process. All done through the lockbox. Now, that's all being processed here without any additional, some additional cost, but nothing significant. There's a per charge to do everything per lockbox, and the work that they've done in July is it's unbelievable the amount they processed in there, and very noteworthy. A couple of grants that we've applied for. Lisa annually applies for the record preservation grant. She has someone come in on weekends and scans in old documents, try to get them all digitized. And then, as you are well aware, the Fire Chief Richard Lennon applied for the Assistance to Firefighters grant to replace our self-contained breathing apparatus. There was a letter of support that was received from Congresswoman DeLauro, and we're hopeful that that pays dividends for us, and we're able to buy those air packs this year through the grant. Any questions on that?
Yeah, so the processing the tax through our local department,
Yeah.
is there an upside to that or downside? I mean,
There's an upside in that everything that goes through lockbox has a per unit charge. I think it's like 50 cents per unit that goes through them.
Yeah.
So we saved a good chunk of money. I'm waiting to get the bank, they're gonna get us the actual activity. It doesn't come out yet for July. It usually lags to the middle of the month to show what the amount that went through lockbox this year and associated costs compared to what went through last year. So there was savings. We incurred a couple dollars of extra hours here, but again, nowhere near what we saved on the lockbox. And they did yeoman's work in there. It was great, the amount of work that they processed, and it's really noteworthy. I think the manager recognized them and went over and thanked them. It was really a great amount of work they did. Yes, sir.
Great report, thank you. I had a question. Reference has been made a few times here, not just in your report, other people talking about process. Last year, I had just a very short discussion with Rory about process and written process. When you say, I'm going to use you as a guinea pig, as it were, probably a bad expression, but in your report here, you talk about something has been added to the process.
Right.
Do you have a set of manuals? Do you have an SOP? Do you have a set of directives? Do you have a written thing that says, this is the process, this is what everybody has to do, and you have a set of, what's the word I'm looking for, artifacts that can be used for training purposes. New kid comes in, okay, here's the manual. This is what we do. This has been assigned and approved by you, by the town manager. You have that, correct?
There actually is on our network drive, if you went to our G drive, there's a folder called Town Policies. There is an accounting procedure out there that I did many years ago.
Right.
Is it followed like gospel? Probably not. Needs to be updated, I would imagine. It's been several years since I looked at it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's probably a good project to look at and update. And again, that general drive is out there for everybody to see. Do they know it's out there? Maybe yes, maybe no. Some of the older people that have been here for a while would know it's out there. Newer department heads may not know it's out there, but that's a valid point.
Okay.
Reinforce that.
I'm not suggesting we go to like an ISO standard. It's just paperwork. I'm just saying, as long as you have a repeatable process that everybody can refer to, you can periodically review it, update it, use it for training purposes. I think that answers the mail.
That's a valid point.
If I can make one comment, I do appreciate Anthony's been working really hard. We've been putting a lot of effort in providing you with more financial information in those reports. One comment, discussion that we've had, it's relative to the police extra duty billing. and the creation of extra codes, right? And so, as spending in all of the different budget line items gets more and more complicated based on all sorts of factors, dealing with payroll, collective bargaining agreement, wherever the pots of money are, part of the approach has been, and appropriate to a certain extent, is you're putting notes and ledgers in next to accounts where there's a pot of money, and you're saying, well, this may go to DB, this may go to DC, those sorts of things. What it does is, when you want to try to really look and splice to see what break down the accounts in a more detailed fashion and understand where the money's going more, it's harder to do so. So one of the things that Anthony's department has made some adjustments is, we're trying to stay ahead of the curve of a lot of the complexity of all the accounts, and we're creating more codes. And so if we can do that in a really systemic way, it's going to be better when you're asking for more specific information and reports come budget season. And that's what we're trying to work towards. And, we won't be able to do that overnight, but there's been some really good progress in that. And this whole police extra billing and figuring out where the money is and the different codes has been some good work.
And one of the things that, to go back to that point, there was a discussion a couple of years ago as it came to the annual library discussion. Why do we have two? What's it cost one versus the other? And now we have subcodes by location. So if you want to know what Smith costs you on a yearly basis, what Atwater costs you, you can break it down to that level of detail. What did it cost the police department to maintain that building? Everything has now got a location code that you can break down and get more finite information that we never really had before without tearing things apart and doing a lot of manual work. Now it's a matter of just running reports and getting the information that we need to.
Now, can you use AI just to ask a generic question? How much does it cost to just pull from your data, or you don't have that set up yet?
I would say I am not anywhere near an AI expert, to be honest with you.
Well, neither am I. I only asked.
Yeah.
I know we're starting to, where I work,
Yeah.
We're starting to roll that out, and it's gotten to the point where we put information on a dedicated server. It's not up there on cloud land, it's on a dedicated, and the data we post up, we just ask it questions. Find me all the airports that have this, and there's your answer.
Bob,
Pretty cool.
That's coming.
Yep.
That is definitely coming, and there's software out there that you can overlay, interfacing with Unis, your website, a lot of your databases,
Yeah.
and it's getting better where they call it like agents start to kind of like develop that are, have specific prompts and learn, and then eventually the agents start interacting with one another.
Right.
And so it's going to be incumbent upon us to be thinking about every department is having some sort of one goal that's going to be focusing on artificial intelligence in their work, right? And that can be at a very small, generic level, but we have to keep that conversation going, so it's great that you brought it up. The better we can leverage it, the more information we're going to have, the more we're going to be able to save taxpayer dollars, the more information we're going to be able to get to you and the public.
Can I just follow on to that?
Yeah.
Some of you may know I work contract support for the FAA and the Federal Service. I would say in the last 2 months alone, we're shocked. It's getting embedded into everything that we're doing. It's gotten to the point where we can take a several hundred-page document, post it up, take a new document, saying here's the proposed changes, and we just ask a question. Show me the major differences between the old version and the new version, and print out a summary, and within 2 minutes, there it is. It would have taken weeks of staff work. And now other people have gotten advanced with it, and they're asking questions. They're loading up complex data, and this thing is just cranking out answers now. It's incumbent upon the user to verify. But when it also provides you the sources, that's good, because you can go down and verify and say, wait a minute, that's not right. That's referring to an old directive, right? So for those who don't know, I'm shocked. It's remarkable. We're in the middle of an AI revolution, and it's not just video games and making funny posters. The data crunching is just over the top. We're really at the cusp of this. And I think the implications for efficiencies in town government, we're going to be shocked.
Right.
So I'm glad you're looking at that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well said.
Anthony, I saw that in here you had the entire purchasing section from the charter. And in there it says that no one is supposed to be able to purchase anything, even supplies, without permission or approval from the purchasing agent. How do you marry that with P cards? How do you control the purchasing?
Is that in the section about
I mean, it
the,
seems to me that there's a little discrepancy there between
you're right, you're right.
the P cards and what it says in the charter. It actually says no supplies. So what's the definition of supplies can be purchased without approval of the purchasing agent?
Do you recall where that was, Marie?
You want me to find where I read that?
Yeah, just see.
Oh. It's on
P-card
page
processing, right?
55,
Okay.
where it says unauthorized purchases.
Unauthorized purchase.
I mean, I find it, to me, that's in contrast to then people having the ability to use P cards. I just want to make sure I understand that. You can't purchase any supplies without permission from the purchasing agent.
That's a valid point, yeah. I see what you're saying.
I mean, I just want to make sure we're following the rules, the charter. Maybe that's something that's been looked at.
So getting, on the credit cards, and you know, you can't, every week, there's a new town in the news with somebody abused their credit cards.
Right.
And I know you listed off, you've got like 6 layers of people who can look at it. Where does the buck stop? Who in town hall looks at it and says, okay, everyone's credit card is rectified and was used correctly?
Right.
Yeah.
That goes along with what I'm asking in a way.
You can also look at, I'm gonna ask a question, because I don't know if it's viable, but I don't know the corporate world it is. On these P cards, ultimately, if they charge something that is, let's just say they buy, I don't know, whatever it is, X, Y, Z, and it's not something that's been authorized, and the bill doesn't, are we on peg to pay that bill, or is it technically their bill to pay as a?
Well, there are certain charge codes that we have eliminated. You can't buy liquor.
Yeah, I
You
get.
can't buy certain things that we blocked.
Sure,
based
I
on
understand that. What I'm
charge
saying
codes.
is, the card itself, it does not go back to their own, like, credit profile, correct?
Negative.
Like, for instance, my corporate card. If I go and use my Amex and swipe, or what we call the Green Hornet, right? We swipe that, and I do it for something that's not going to be covered by my company. I have to pay for it, and if I don't pay for it, it's gonna eventually, much different time frame, but eventually come back to my credit report.
Right.
It makes people beholden to using the card, and what Al's talking about, where you can, you know, in the news, there's people that are using town funds for
Right,
things.
there should be P card, you know,
Is that something we can look
guidelines.
into? That's something, I mean, that ultimately, if we're not on the line.
He says he's got a G
And it
drive
should go
that
along
has
with
it.
And I also agree that there should be P cards. I don't want people swapping cards. That's something that I'll fight vehemently for. If
Well, that's why we have so many.
Franny has a card, his card should be used by Franny only.
So,
Sorry, Franny.
referring to these
Make
P
you an
cards,
example.
like I've known other departments or other, like my wife works for a university and she's in charge of the P card. So you're the boss, you go to her and tell her what exactly, she makes all the orders and she's the one that keeps track of all that. So just it gets a little concerning that there's so many P cards out there and, you know, everyone's using them and it's just, I think just streamlining it and having department person here handling it, another one over here handling it for each department.
Well, I go back to my question that was, where does the buck stop? Who in town hall says, okay, the credit cards were used properly this month?
Typically, in my experience, in a P card situation, is there's guidelines on who should have a P card. You know, that's from a corporate thing, that's from a corporate standpoint, which I would think that Scott and his team would have to decide who should have a P card. Not everybody should have a P card, but there are certain people that, to do their function, they need a P card, right? So I don't know what's available for a guideline or a policy, but That's what I see. And then if you do spend something that isn't covered by your P card, which everyone should know what they can or cannot spend, yeah, that becomes a personal expense. In addition to, if you're late on reconciling your card and there's a late charge, that's on the employee. That's not on the company, which the company here would be North Branford.
So, employees are issued P cards when they have a volume of purchases to make. When we were sharing cards, it was impossible. When Anthony had a card, and Fran did, and one other person, it was hard to track. There's a card, and when you get your credit card statement, sometimes you don't know what the charge is, right? And so if Anthony's lending out his card to a bunch of different people, it's hard to track down who made that purchase. And so when everybody has their own card, it's much easier to track the purchases. You are responsible for what is purchased on your card. In terms of how the charges are reviewed, so every month, a statement comes in to purchasing. That statement is then uploaded into Munis. And so there is a single transaction for the balance of all of the P cards. And so that is paid, from finance. But each individual transaction also goes through the Munis workflow. And it goes to Michael Fumiati to review and approve, Anthony to review and approve, and the town manager to review and approve. So there's, in addition to the department head who has the card, 3 additional levels of scrutiny.
And that's in the process that in your, was it
Correct.
Subdirectory G? There's a process in that thing, right, for that?
Correct, and prior to Munis, this was not in place. This is, Munis has a P card module that we use.
Roy,
And-
appreciate that explanation, thank you.
And just to be clear to the public, when Anthony was giving examples of Vince having a P card and me having,
They don't have one.
we do not have P cards. No council member has a P card.
You let that secret out?
Yeah. I don't have mine. I don't know if you have one, Vin, but I don't have one, so I know that. So we do not, no council member has a P card.
And mine has come in the mail.
Well, the town did hopefully learn its lesson when, and I don't know why, and I was maybe 18, but was old enough to hear the folks in town talking about it when our Board of Ed had credit cards, and somebody bought a grandfather's clock with it.
Okay.
So, that's why we don't have credit cards up here.
Yeah.
I don't want one.
See what I started.
Yes, well, that's okay. Okay. Next item is the September meeting. So it's on here because September happens to have 5 Tuesdays. And Labor Day is late this year. And we have a lot of stuff going on right now. So right now, our meeting is scheduled for September 15th. And I'm just, with all the stuff that is being continued and coming over, especially with the town manager's goals, and I know there's a few vacations and stuff, is there any objection to moving the meeting to the 22nd? So between August and October, between those 3 meetings, one was going to be a 5-week in between meetings and one was going to be a 4, and we're just shifting it.
22nd works better for me. I cannot attend the 15th.
You guys might want to stay on the 15th, because I won't be here, so.
So is the 15, is the 20, moving the meeting to the 22nd?
Good with me.
Yes.
Works for me.
Okay.
I'll be here on the 22nd.
Okay,
You'll be here on the 22nd. Oh.
okay. So do I have a motion to move the September meeting to September 22nd?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Citizen statements and petitions. Any citizen statements? Okay, seeing none. We're going to have a motion to go into executive session pursuant to CGS 1-206 to discuss privileged written communications received from the town attorney to include the town manager, the town attorney, and all council members.
Motion is stipulated.
Second.
Do you need to be in it, or, we'll include the assistant town manager. Yes, yes. Okay. Motion was made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay.